Hi, it's Jason Gorber from ThatShelf.com, and we're here to talk about Emma Seligman's Shiva Baby. For those that don't know, a Shiva is usually a 7-day ritual that takes place after a funeral. It's sort of like, it's a really boring version of a wake, as it were. It's a Jewish tradition whereby you go, you hang out with family and people who knew the deceased, you eat a bunch of bagels, and usually get into incredibly awkward social and familial interactions. So whatever you are up to, having to justify whatever decisions you've actually made in your life as people are making constant judgments about you. I mean, that's essentially as most Jewish events take place, from religious services to family dinners, but nonetheless the Shiva is a particular place where this kind of thing goes on, especially for the particular type of suburban secular Jew, which formed whatever cynicism I have baked into me. You have this film has a great performance by Rachel Sennett. She takes the same role that she had in the short film that sort of birthed this. Very brisk. I think the running time's like 83 minutes or something like that. And it's about this young woman who shows up having just left the apartment of her lover, a guy who's sort of her sugar daddy, who's giving her money to shtup. They both say they have to go off and have a brunch. She goes off to the Shiva, and then he shows up. He walks in, and comedy ensues. So in some ways, it's like the most banal of French farces, but it's done with such sort of a Semitic air that it really feels fresh and feels a lot of fun, because we can amp up the sort of discomfort to almost nuclear levels when you get crazy mothers, hapless fathers, young post-graduate women who are uncertain about what their future is going to bring, the jealousies of other friends, all of this stuff colliding into this feast, this meal of just ennui and social discomfort that Shiva Baby really brings to the fore. It is especially amplified when you actually have the shiksa wife of this lover show up. Perfectly done. It's an extraordinary moment, because you can actually see all the mechanisms turn and all of the people when they actually see this take place, and you can feel sort of multi-layers of judgment, as if you have the sort of core family, and as things radiate, you just get more and more people sticking their nose in the business to actually see what's going on. It's slight in some ways, in the sense that it's a pretty straightforward comedy with a little sort of twist to it, both in terms of some of her decisions, but also some of her affections. There's like goofy, almost slapstick elements involving cell phones. There's moments of almost symphonic awkwardness mixed with things that are pretty straightforward and comic, but somehow it all comes together in something that's just a lot of fun. It doesn't take itself so seriously, and it's fine that we don't take itself as some sort of grand exegesis about what suburban Jewish family dynamics are like. Instead, it's like, here's a very particular, very specific time of life, and what it's like being in that environment. And in that way, it plays almost like a documentary. I mean, there's so much specificity, there's so much things there to actually draw it on. But in fact, even the way that the bagels are presented, the way they're topped, the sort of angularity of putting locks on it. There's something very specific and very personal about how all this stuff is played out. Speaking to another colleague who was appalled by the finger sandwich selection there. I guess at that place in New York State, they don't have something like Pickle Barrel like we do here in Toronto, which is a very specific type of nosh, that food stuff that's actually served here. So in weird ways, we can see the direct connection, but also feel it's slightly foreign to our own experience. Everybody's got bagels, everybody's got cream cheese, and everybody's got parents that drive them nuts. And that's really the fundamental core of what Shiva Baby is all about. I think it's a lot of fun. I definitely think it's worth seeking out. It's got some great performances. I love Fred Melamed so much. I mean, he is so extraordinary in something like Serious Man that I just love when he shows up. And so he's one particular character actor that I quite adored. But there's a bunch of other names and faces that you've seen in other roles that just elevate everything that's going on here. It really feels like this rich, warm ensemble that's done on a relatively small scope, and yet it feels in some ways bigger than it really is. That room is made to feel incredibly claustrophobic, and yet it feels like it's an entire universe of dynamics and hostilities and aggressions taking place in this one place. And that's why I think Shiva Baby really is quite great. For ThatShelf.com, I'm Jason Gorber. Please give Shiva Baby a shot when you have a chance to see it during these crazy times. Please subscribe. Please follow us on social media. Look at lots of the coverage that we have on the website. Leave some comments if you can, and we will see you next movie. All the best. Take care.